Hey guys, we're going to just be talking about should Christians be involved in politics and how this conversation we're just going to share some stories. So today's story is about Joan of Arc. So I think a lot of people have heard of her and they know that she's this important figure in history, but they don't really know that much about her story. So I'm not going to go super in depth, but I just want to share some important things. So this was during the 100 Years' War. So France, England are at war with each other. And the big question is who's the rightful king of France? And that's going to end up being King Charles VII. Now what's crazy about this story is that the leader of the story is Joan of Arc, who is just a teenage girl with no fighting or war experience. But God calls her and speaks to her and tells her to go lead the French army, which is just mind-boggling that even happened, like that God would even say that. But what's more mind-boggling is that she does and that she is successful. So there's obviously a lot of intricacies into that story, but the main point that I want to make is just if God were to speak to Joan of Arc and intervene and tell her that she should go lead the French army and tell her that Charles VII is going to be the king of France and tell her these things that are going to happen, he obviously cared. God cared about who won that war. God cared about who was the rightful king. And even though those leaders and those monarchs at that time weren't all perfect and they weren't all serving God the way that maybe we think they should have been, God still intervened and he cared about what was going on politically. And if we believe that to be true, if we believe the historical story of Joan of Arc, then how can we believe that God doesn't care about politics? It's very obvious that he does. And just so you know, this isn't like a story that's only in the Christian history books. Like you can go to the library, get a book about Joan of Arc, and they will tell you that Joan of Arc heard voices that she heard from saints that were telling her what to do. Like it's just a documented fact that this is what happened, and this is the story of the 100 Years' War. And how can we believe the story to be true and then just think that God doesn't care about anything politically today? If God cares about politics, if God cares about the leadership, if God cares about our response to these problems, then shouldn't we also care? Shouldn't we be asking what God is doing in our world today so that we are on his side and doing what he would have us do?